Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at Shashki. So this is the way the module looks, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing a similar game to a game called Checkers. This is an 8x8 checkerboard, and we're going to be playing as the green piece always, and the first move is always going to be our move. That's perfect. So we're going to be playing against the red piece, and keep in mind, this A guy is actually really easy to beat, and it's not too hard to do, so keep that in mind. But as long as you know how the ground rules work, you should be good to go. Let me shut off my alarm clock real quick, and let's get into this module. So what exactly is our goal with this module? Of course, our goal is obviously to win, but how exactly do we solve it? To solve this module, win 3 times in a row or play a total of 6 times in a draw. And after every 15th game, if the module is not solved for some reason, then the current win streak is interrupted and the counter of draws is reset to 0. Now, keep in mind, draws are generally rare to happen, and as well as reaching the 15 game is rare to happen as well. So this was kind of a module that took a lot more solves to win, a lot more times to win than it did beforehand. It got nerfed to only 3 times in a row, I believe. I'm not sure what the original solve count was, or the win count that you needed to do, but it was a ridiculous amount. That's why the 15 game is there. It's very rare that you'll get to the 15th game if you are doing something wrong. That's kind of that's a you problem. But essentially, this module is a soloable on the diffuser side as long as you know how the rules work. So let's get into the actual rules. So for those of you who are familiar with how checkers work, each of these are going to be referred to as men, and men will move forward diagonally to an adjacently unoccupied square, like so, and they will do the exact same thing, like so. And essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to capture each of our individual pieces here. And we're going to want to do this by a form called jumping. Jumping is if the adjacent square contains an opponent's piece, and the square immediately beyond it is vacant, the opponent's piece may be captured by jumping over it. So for example, let's try and see if we can get one set up for us. If they would like to. Like here. So for example, we have the ability to take this piece here. So, for example, if we want to jump over it, we have the ability to jump to this spot right here. The piece immediately beyond it is vacant, which is exactly what we can do. Now, let's see what happens. Just like that, the piece is gone. But why did the red piece not move? Why did the red piece not move yet? Because this is where the second part comes into play here. Multiple jumping moves are possible if when the jumping piece lands, there is another piece that can be jumped. Now, taking a look at the piece that we did jump, there is another possibility of which we can go up to here. Just like that, the multiple jumping is complete. You'll know if a multiple jumping is complete once, for example, if something takes it or a red piece moves. That's the way that this works. Now, one additional thing that is a little bit interesting about the jumping that makes this a little bit different from checkers, I believe, anyways, I haven't played checkers in years, is jumping can be done forward and backwards. Backwards is the key here. We did the forward here, but we haven't done a backward example because backwards is kind of a rare case that happens. It's not rare, but it's a very uncommon thing to happen, and it normally is going to be more forward than backward. So that's one thing to keep in mind is that jumping can be done forward and backward. And lastly, jumping is mandatory. You have to do this or otherwise you will receive a strike and cannot be passed up to make a non-jumping move. Because if you try to make a non-jumping move when capture is possible, will result in a forfeit defeat. That is why you don't want to do that. If you happen to make a non-capture, if you happen to avoid the capture, the entire screen will reset to the 8x8 checkerboard setup, the original setup that we had beforehand, and you will be playing a new game. And it's going to be very unfortunate if you happen to lose that win streak. It's going to be very unfortunate because that takes a lot longer for you to do. So making sure that you don't miss that is going to be very important. And of course, there is one last thing that I need to cover. That's going to be the term of King's Row. King's Row is if you happen to reach is the opposite side or the closest side to the player for each individual player. So, for example, these 3 pieces, with this one, of course, being missing, this is referred to as the King's Row, same case as it is back here. If you happen to reach, for example, one of my green pieces reached the King's Row of the red side, what this would do is this would turn us into a king. And a king can move any number of space, any number of squares if they're all empty, and it has the ability to move backwards as well as forward. So that's sort of the catch, and it is a very powerful piece. So I will get into it once I have the ability to get a king. But for now, let's play the game. And before we do that, there is one last way that we can win, and it is going to be very important. A player with no valid moves, a player with no valid move remaining loses, and this can be the case of if the player is making has either no pieces left. So, for example, we take all their pieces, or if a player's pieces are obstructed from making a legal move. So, for example, if we happen to get this little pink piece, if we can get that down here, and we can immediately block off its only pathway. For example, like if we happen to put these two green pieces here, because I want to make sure that there's nothing that I can take yet. If this pink piece happens to move right here, and there happens to be two green pieces that are back to back, that would immediately be stuck. And what's going to happen if we happen to take all pieces and there's no more legal moves left, is a win with an opponent's pieces on the board will result in 2 wins being credited instead of 1. That is going to save us a lot of time because that's going to be eventually getting rid of one of the games that we need to play. So that's going to be important that you keep that in mind. But again, if you happen to get that, it's going to be nice, but I wouldn't necessarily prioritize that. I'd prioritize on playing the game and making sure that you don't mess up, because it's much easier to strike on this module than you think. So just keep that in mind. So let's get right into this, and I will explain a little bit more in detail of how the kings work once we get to that actual point. So let's take a look. So immediately we got that right down there. So that's going to be a good point. Let's not focus on this one for right now, and let's try and keep these two pieces together down here on its own, so that we can get potentially 2 wins. So let's take a look. Now, there's one technique that I tend to use, is I tend to use a method called stalling. Whereas if we happen to have any back pieces that are available to make any sort of movements, we can essentially take that movement and try to get these pink pieces or red pieces forward. They look sort of pink on my end. They're red. So if I call them pink and red, just understand that what I mean is that this is the opposing side. So let's just try and stall it out for as long as we can, so we can actually take a good piece right here. And now we've reached the other side, and we are going to now become a king, which happens to have a crown on it. So it's very nice and it's very easy to see. So now what happens is that we have the ability to move any amount of spaces that we want to, as long as they're empty. So for example, if we wanted to move, we don't want to move to these 2 pieces here because of the fact that both of these are able to be taken, and we don't want a king taken quite yet. Because if we move here, this red piece will move backwards. Remember that capturing is available backwards, and jumping is mandatory. If we move here, this guy will take it right there. So we want to probably move right here, making sure that we don't have the ability to capture any pieces. We do not, so we're going to hit it right there. Oh, and here we go. We're able to do a multiple jump like this again. So we have here, no red move is moved, no red pieces moved, so we're going to do it right there. And just like that, that is good to go. Very, very nice. So let's see what we can do now. Best bet is probably going to be us moving to get another king, for example. But let's make sure we don't have any available spots that we can take. We can't take anything with this the king here. Can't take you. Can't take you. Okay, looks good to go. So let's move you and make you a king, like that. Now, best course of action. Honestly, we probably could sacrifice the king, because we really want to make sure that this guy sticks back here, because we can potentially get 2 wins here. So let's try it. Let's take this guy, because we have to take him. There's no other option. We wouldn't be able to take him at all. We wouldn't be able to simply avoid that. We have to take it. Now, let's see what our best course of action is here. We're not able to take any pieces right now. Let's try and, I guess, move this guy right here. And we're able to take this piece. Perfect. Now we're forced to take this guy. Let's think. Let's try and move this. Let's get another king in play. Like so. And pretty soon we're going to eventually be forcing him to move to one of the 2 pieces which we have to play. So let's try and stall it out for right now. So let's make sure we can't capture anything right now, so let's do that. Can't capture any pieces right now, so we probably just want to move our king like 1 piece. 1 move. And now we're able to capture this, and that's unfortunately going to get us out of that corner of which we wanted to keep him in, so that's not great. So let's move you here, I guess. So yeah, this is going to be essentially us just playing to capture all of the pieces. So let's try and get this thing done then. Let's make you a king, and then you'll be able to. And then we have to force it out of there, so it's going to be... We can't capture it. And just like that, it's a draw. It actually went back right back into the corner, and now 2 LEDs lit up instead of 1. It normally would be 1 LED lighting up, but essentially we just did a draw there. Because of the fact that it essentially backed itself up in the corner, and there was no available moves of it for it to make, which is kind of really dumb. There was no available moves for it to make at all. It wasn't able to move backwards since it wasn't a king, and just like that, we won the game twice. So now what we have to do is we have to win this one more time. Thank God I was able to demonstrate what the a win with the opponent's pieces on the board will result in. So, like I said, this AI is really easy. It's just making sure that you essentially find the pieces, play by the rules, and find the make sure you don't miss any jumps. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Let's take a look at this final game here, and let's just play to win. So let's take a look here. Let's just play the stalling game. The stalling game, as I said before, is essentially just moving your back pieces up a little bit, just to see if we can get any of these guys to nudge forward a little bit. So let's go right here, for example. Can't capture anything yet. Alright, so we can do you and you and you. Nice. So let's do you. Let's see what we can do. We can't capture anything quite yet. And it seems like we're going to be going back to the stalling game. So let's get this guy out either... Okay, here we go. Perfect. Bam and bam. So now we have a king. We can't capture any pieces with that quite yet because the king's special case, we are only able to capture... We're only able to jump over 1 piece, not 2 pieces. So for example, this king would not be able to go down to here, down to the bottom right, this cell right here, because of the fact that there is an immediately vacant space after the first piece. It has to be only 1 piece that we can capture at a time. So right now we're not able to capture anything, so let's just move another piece. Let's see what we can get. Okay, nothing yet. We're going to take you, we're going to capture you and you. That's good. We can capture you. We can capture you because we can move backwards, like that. And now we're pretty much just waiting for it to come out of its corner. And now it's actually stuck. Again. Great. And just like that, all the pieces light up. We actually have to get 2 draws in this case. That's really rare. Let's go over one more example. I want to be able to explain to you how what the capturing looks like. I'll go through this a little bit quicker, but you understand hopefully how all these rules work. It's a pretty straightforward module, and it's a solo on the diffuser side completely. Wow, I've never gotten 2 draws in a row like that. I mean, 2 wins with an opponent piece left on the board. I'll take that. Let's go over one more example, and hopefully we can get some wins with essentially clearing the board. But as I said, this AI is really easy. You can play the stalling method like I do, and it's going to be a cakewalk for you. Trust me.
There is only one perfect solution for our clues that will try to trick our team.
We can do here and here. Perfect. Off to a grand start. Nothing so far. You can do here now. Captures that. Makes sense. We can do here. We can capture here, so we can do here and get ourselves the king. That's going to be nice. We can do there. Now, we can't capture yet so far, so let's try and move you here. So we have to capture you immediately. Nothing yet I can capture. We can do you and you. Very nice, very nice. This is a really easy one. We have to capture you. I can't do anything quite yet. We'll get you in the corner. Yep, force you in the corner, and you are pretty much at a draw at this point. So we capture you, and just like that, we've already won again. Wow, I've never seen this many cases where this happens, but this is essentially a really nice way to save you some time, because essentially you don't have to worry about winning 3 times in a row. You only have to win 2 times. But you will be guaranteed to play at least 2 games. That's the way that this works. We can capture you, but it captures me. That makes sense. Again, we're playing the stalling game, so here and here. Nice. That's what you like to see. Capture you and you and you. Let's go. Capture you. Nice. Capture you. That takes me. Yep. Okay. Let's not go in the corner. Let's try and win by essentially taking all the pieces. We get you. We get you. You get forward, and you get forward. Beautiful. And just like that is a slow monkey. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.